see that. There's no problem. Well, welcome everybody and good afternoon. It's 12:01 to our Lunch and Learn this month of February. We have a wonderful guest that some of us might know. Some of us know them very well. And we have a topic that I think is going to be wonderful. Some of us may have even heard this, but now it's much more relevant as we look outside and see weather still taking over. My name is Dan Ravitch. I am the program director here at the Jewish Federation, and I have the honor of this being my first Lunch and Learn that I am running. And moving forward, I have quite a few more plans in the works. So you will see me around the Federation. I do everything from youth program all the way through. So you'll see me around, especially with our summer camp. But today is definitely not about me, as we have with us Elizabeth Levine, or as many know her, EJ. And she's going to be running our program today. If some of us may have heard her last year, but she is has been an OT for the last 12 years, an occupational therapist, and she works with adults in every variety of setting. She teaches an adjunct professor at Elmhurst University in the OT department, and she has her specialty in certification in lymphedema therapy, which maybe I don't know much about, but hopefully she can share with us. And I will let her introduce the rest of her background as we go. It looks like there are still a few more waiting in the waiting room, kind of slowly coming in, so I will add them as we go. And I'll pass it on to you then, EJ.
Great, thank you for the nice intro. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. It's nice to see lots of familiar faces and a few new ones. For those of you that were in the class last year, it will be pretty similar, but we'll spend a little more time actually doing some of the exercises. So be prepared. Don't worry if you're eating lunch or if you are not up to doing the exercises right now, just follow along. And I'm gonna do the best I can with my limited window here to demonstrate. Let me pull this up. And all right. Can everybody see my screen? And I can't see you guys at all. Let me see.
I can see your screen.
All right, good. Unfortunately, I can't see any of you. So if you have questions, I don't know, Dan, maybe you can help kind of moderate if people have questions.
No problem at all.
Okay,
I would
cool.
suggest us writing them in so that if we don't want to interrupt, but if I see anybody who raises their hand or anything, I will I'll stop when there's an appropriate time.
All right, perfect. Well, then we'll get going. So we're going to talk about fall prevention today. This is a cause that's near and dear to my heart as I work with seniors quite frequently, and falls are something that happen on a daily basis. So we want to prevent falls. We'll talk a little bit about that. So a little bit about me, you got some of this information. I'm an OT, I've worked in rehabilitation, long-term care, focus on geriatrics. I got my degree from Washington University in St. Louis. I do specialize in lymphedema management, which is extreme swelling that can happen anywhere in the body. There's specialized treatment for that, which I am certified to do. I've been teaching at Elmhurst University in their occupational therapy program for just over a year, which I have really enjoyed doing. And I found that teaching is something I really enjoy. I also mentor a high school robotics team. I've been doing that for a long time. I think many of you probably are aware of that. I'm still involved with that and something I really enjoy. I was a dancer for many years. I performed with Southold, and I actually have a dance minor from Purdue. And I've actually found dance to be a really great avenue for teaching some of my patients about some of the things we'll be talking about today, as dancers have to have really good balance. And then lastly, I was a competitive sailor for a little while, although I haven't done that recently, but that's another thing that takes a lot of core strength. So that's a little bit about me. So let's talk a little bit about adult falls. There is an adult fall that happens every second of every day. And that is a lot. 1 in 4 older adults reported a fall in 2014. Falls are the #1 cause of hip fractures, and hip fractures then lead to a whole slew of other problems, especially in people with limited mobility otherwise. Falls and hip fractures can actually lead to high morbidity and even death. So what causes falls? There are multiple factors here. The first one would be weakness. That's one that I think we're all aware of, and a lot of us are weak. Even though we might feel like we're strong enough to do our day-to-day tasks, we can always work on improving our strength. There are some medications that cause falls. And some of these medications are things that might make you feel dizzy, They might make you have to go to the bathroom more frequently, which is another factor that can cause falls. There are a lot of different reasons that medications can have an impact on that. And of course, there are health conditions. Some of the obvious ones that people think of, like things like MS or Parkinson's disease. If you've had a history of fractures, all of those things can contribute to falls. Decreased vision, that one seems like it might be fairly obvious because you might have a hard time seeing obstacles in your environment. And then of course, poor balance. And poor balance ties in a lot with weakness. So some of the exercises we'll do later on will address weakness and balance. Other important factors are your environment. There are certain hazards that are really easy to remove or to change so that you can make your environment less hazardous. Another thing to consider would be having appropriate clothing and footwear. So you want to make sure that your footwear is sturdy and supports your feet properly, and you want to make sure your clothing isn't getting in the way of you. So for women who are wearing skirts, make sure that you are managing your skirt properly as you're walking so it doesn't get in your way or catch you up. Or if you have long pants, make sure that they're not long enough to sit under your shoe, which can cause you to slip. Another factor to consider would be appropriate lighting, especially at nighttime. You want to make sure that you have lighting so that you can find your way to the bathroom. And then lastly, activities that you do. Taking rest breaks is actually really important even for people who are healthy because our body can't just keep going nonstop. We need those rest breaks to recuperate. And then decreased attention. Sometimes if we're paying attention to one thing and not our environment, that can increase our risk of falling. Some of the biggest risk factors for injury are age, decreased balance, and health conditions. So we talked a little bit about these. As age increases, we see increased falls. And age is also tied to some of these other factors. And everything kind of fits all together. We'll talk a little bit more about some of these in depth. So what can happen when you fall? And this is the scary part, but these are real things that I've seen quite frequently with my patients who have had a fall. One of the worst ones is head or brain injury. So if you fall and hit your head, you might lose consciousness, it might cause a brain bleed, and these can be short-term or lasting effects. We also can see spine or spinal cord injury. This can be really, truly devastating. Oftentimes, it may not be a severe spinal cord injury that would put you in a wheelchair, but it can still have a large impact on your body and on your daily functioning. Decreased strength is something that happens with spinal cord injury. Decreased coordination is something that we see. Difficulty walking, there's all sorts of effects there. We can also see soft tissue injury, and this can be very painful. Looking at things like bruises and cuts, we can have sprains, strains, and tears. I myself have had soft tissue injuries from falling, although mine were more dance-related injuries. And then we can also see fractures. So as I mentioned earlier, hip fractures can lead to complete debility or even death, especially in older population who are already weaker. Oftentimes they become completely bedbound and really lose a lot of abilities, which can then lead to death. It's also not really well known, but there's actually an enzyme that's released in your body when you have a hip fracture that can lead to dementia-like symptoms. Another thing that we see frequently is PTSD. People who have had a fall or multiple falls often become so fearful of falling that they can't get up anymore, and they lose the ability to walk and to move around safely because of that fear. The last thing, injury or illness related to laying on the floor if you are unable to get up. So this happens occasionally with older adults who may not carry a cell phone or who may not have easy access to contact other people if something happens. So things like dehydration can happen, pneumonia, we'll see extensive bruising. Unfortunately, we can also see things like stroke or, if you're not able to get your medication, some other issues may arise. So these are all concerns that we have when you fall. Where and when do falls occur? Falls can occur really anywhere. Frequently they happen at home, especially at nighttime. As I mentioned, a lot of people get up and go to the bathroom, especially as we age. So that can happen frequently. Falls happen in the community. There are curbs, the environment might not be familiar to you. So that's another factor. And then when in a rush. So if you're somebody who has to go to the bathroom in a rush frequently, that can also lead to falls because sometimes you might not be paying as much attention to your hazards or your environment or the setup. What can you do if you fall? The first thing is get up if possible. And later on, we'll have a nice video of how to get up if you fall. If you are not able to, make sure that you stay in place. So if you're worried about an injury, if you think you might have fractured something, if you think you might have hit your head, stay where you are. Check for dizziness and strength. So you can do your own little self-check of your body. You know, try to move your shoulders around, move your head side to side if you're able to, and if it's not too painful, move your legs a little bit, see if everything is working as it should. And take your time. There's no rush to get up. That can lead you to falling again or making it more difficult to get up. The next step would be notifying a trusted contact. Keep a cell phone on you at all times, if possible, or you can use a medical alert system, like Life Alert is a good example. There's lots of really great ones. Now, a lot of people have devices like an Apple Watch, which can actually detect a fall and make a call for you if you're not able to, which is really pretty cool. So there's lots of options out there available at various price points. A cell phone is really easy though. A lot more people are carrying cell phones. Just make sure you actually keep it on you even when you're at home. Keep it in a pocket, put it on a string around your neck so that you can always contact somebody. And have that person be aware. So have family or neighbors that can check on you regularly, and that they know to expect a call from you, or you know that you can call them if something happens. So you want to have a plan in case they don't hear from you at a specified time. This is really helpful because let's say you're sick, even if you haven't fallen, if something is going on and you aren't able to contact them, they might be aware that something is wrong. And then let them know if you do have any special plans where you're not going to be checking in at your regular time. Everybody doing okay so far? Sorry, I can't see you, so but, just let me know if there's any.
Haven't seen any questions come in or anything yet, but I hope you will.
Cool.
I do see some thumbs up.
Okay, good. All right, excellent. All right, so how to get up. Hopefully this video will work and hopefully you'll be able to hear it. If not, you can actually get a pretty good idea of what's going on. And then I'll share the presentation later so that you'll be able to have access to the video anytime. So we will go ahead and try to play this.
How to get up safely if you have a fall. It's best to plan what you would do if you had a fall. Firstly, don't panic. Check you're not hurt. Are you in pain? Can you move your arms and legs? Don't move if you feel pain. Try to summon help instead. If you are unhurt, try to get yourself up. Move onto your hands and knees and crawl to somewhere where you can pull yourself up, like a sturdy chair or bed. Put your hands on the chair or bed and bring one leg up, bending your knee and placing your foot flat on the floor. Lean forwards, pushing with your hands, and bring your other foot up so that it is also flat on the floor. Turn and sit on the furniture slowly. Make sure that you rest for a while before you try to stand up. It's a good idea to practice this so you know what to do if you have a fall. And remember, always tell your GP about your fall.
All right, so hopefully you guys could hear that. I think that's a great little video, easy to understand what's going on, I think. If this is something that you're interested in, you could even practice if you feel comfortable getting down on the floor. It's always good to be prepared for just in case if you were to have a fall. There are also occupational and physical therapists in the South Bend area that could work on training you with this if needed. So, and like I said, I will make sure to share this so that you guys have access to the video later. All right, so now we'll get into how do we prevent falls. This is really the most important part. I know, being able to get up from a fall is important too, but as much as possible, we would like to keep people from having falls and all of the related problems. So we'll go through each of these things. First of all is exercise. Make sure we keep up our strength. Looking at your home setup is really important. So some of those things I had mentioned earlier, some of the hazards that might be on the floor, things like your lighting. We'll talk a little bit about that. Environmental awareness, and then other factors to consider. So exercises. It's important to do a little bit every day, and we want to work on the whole body. The reason we want to work every day is because we want to make sure we're really maintaining the strength that we have. A lot of you might feel like you're already strong, but if you look at professional athletes, they don't I mean, they take rest breaks, but they continue working out because they want to maintain the strength that they have. And the body as a whole works together really well, so it's important to focus on all parts. The core and the pelvis especially is important for balance because that provides stability for our whole body. And a lot of people also forget about that. That's one thing that I see frequently in my work is that people will work on their arm and leg strength, but they'll just really ignore their core and their pelvic area muscles. So those are really important. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna do maybe 5 to 10 reps of every exercise. I will do my best to demonstrate. Hopefully you guys will be able to see what I'm doing. If not, feel free to ask questions or we'll see if we can rearrange a little bit. So the first thing is actually deep breathing, believe it or not. And this is a nice little picture here. So everybody, if you want, you can take your hands and place them on your stomach. I like to do one up and one down, so one above my belly button and one below. And then just take a couple of nice breaths in your nose and out your mouth. Nice and slow. Ideally, we'll be doing diaphragmatic breathing, meaning rather than breathing just up here, the air is going to fill all the way through our lungs and press down on the diaphragm, which will in turn press your organs, making your stomach go outward as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, your lungs shrink a little bit and everything shifts back in and your diaphragm goes up. So just a few more breaths. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And I like to place the hands on the belly because it helps you have an idea of what your muscles are doing and it helps kind of get that area coordinated since a lot of us are really not aware of that area. We'll move on. So the next is what we call isometrics. So isometric exercises are exercises we do where we engage our muscles, but we're not moving our body. So for this particular one, you can do both at the same time or separate. And again, keep your hands placed one over your belly button and one below. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna squeeze in your tummy muscles and squeeze your bottom and then relax. We'll do this 5 times. So that was 1. We'll do it again. 2, again, 3, and 4, relax, and 5. Good. So that's a really easy one to do. I will say I don't often recommend doing that one right after eating. Any of the core exercises are best to do a couple of hours after eating, or you can do before a meal. These are really nice exercises to do in the morning. So the nice thing about doing an isometric is that it doesn't cause any back pain, or it shouldn't cause any back pain. So if you have any back issues, it will prevent an exacerbation of pain there. And these are really important muscles for stability, like I mentioned. If you have trouble engaging your core muscles, I always like to explain it to my patients. Imagine that you are walking on the beach and somebody really good looking walks by. What do? You suck in your tummy muscles, right? So it's sort of that feeling. So, all right, we will move on. The next one would be reaching forward and across. So I'm going to scoot my chair back a little bit. So in the picture here, you can see she reaches back and then brings her hands together and then reaches her body straight forward. And she's got her feet planted nicely on the floor. So that's going to give her stability. When we reach forward, we're engaging muscles in our tummy and also in our back and in our tush. And those muscles, again, are all muscles that we're using for stability when we're working on balance. So we'll do 10 of these. We're going to reach back, bring the hands together, and reach forward. 1, bring the hands back. Forward, 2, and back. Forward, 3, and back. Reach 4, and back. 5, and back. 6, and back. 7, and back. 8, and back. 9, and back. 10, and back. And then relax. You can kind of shake it out a little bit. Next is very similar, but we'll be reaching across. So that'll work some of the side muscles of our abdomen, those oblique muscles. This one we'll do, we're just gonna do 10 and we're gonna count 1, 2. So each hand movement will be 1. Normally I would do double that. So you could go all to one side or you can alternate. So we'll alternate and we'll just count up to 10. So for this one, we wanna also make sure that the shoulder is going across towards the opposite side of your pelvis. And your arm is there just to kind of go along for the ride and help guide you in that sort of nice diagonal direction away from your body. So I'm going to start with my right hand, but you can do whichever hand you prefer. I'm going to reach across. 1, and then bring it back to a nice neutral position with shoulders over hips. Then the other side. 2, and bring it back to that nice neutral. 3, come back, reach across. 4, and back. 5, and back. 6, and back. 7, and back. 8, and back. 9, and back. One more. 10, and back. Good. So those are some really nice simple core exercises to do. They're easy to do in a seated position, or you can do them standing if you prefer, as long as you have a nice base of support. Make sure those feet are supported on the floor. So now, similar exercise, but we're going to move side to side. So for this one, you can actually allow your hips to come up a little bit as you rock towards the opposite side. And unfortunately, you probably can't see my hips in the chair, but you can see in the picture that the model, his hips kind of come up as he leans away. You can use your hands out to the sides for stability, or you can keep them in, whatever's more comfortable for you. So, and again, we'll just we'll alternate sides, and we're going to count to 10. So reach across. 1 and 2. So it's a really nice shift. I'm really taking my shoulders off of my base of support. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. All right, chair push-ups. This is a favorite with all of my patients. This is a challenging one, so we're just going to do 5 for now. This is one that if you have an easy time with it, you can do it more on your own. This one does require a chair with arms. If you don't have that right now, that's okay. You can try to push up from the sides of your chair. Also, if you are in a rolling chair, be very careful with this one. I would recommend doing this one in a chair that does not have wheels, because we don't want to cause a fall by having a chair move away from you. So for a chair push-up, and again, unfortunately, you can't really see my whole body. The idea is not that you're getting into a full standing position. You're actually just clearing your bottom up off of the chair. And you want to make sure that your elbows stay nice and behind you, because we're actually really working on our tricep muscles. That's the muscles at the back of our arm. A lot of my ladies like to call it the chicken wing muscles. So we're going to work on that. That's a really important muscle to help us say hold on to a walker. It helps us push up from a chair, and it helps us with stability also. So this one, like I said, we'll just do 5. Again, your feet should be nice and planted on the floor, about hip width apart. You're going to lift up. So you'll see, I'm barely lifting up, just enough to clear my bottom off the chair. Okay, so if everybody's ready, we can do that. We'll do 5. We'll push up. 1, nice and slow. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So that's a good one. That's another one that you can do more of if you feel up to it. I generally would do this in increments of 5 with my patients, just to make sure that we're not overtaxing. And we can also take rest breaks in between. All right, before we actually get into the arm exercises, we will take a little rest break. We're just going to take 2 deep breaths. So again, you can place your hands on your tummy if you like, and just breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. All right, so now we'll focus on the arms. So arms are important for you to have some stability for your body as you use your arms to kind of counterbalance while you're doing things like walking. If you hold on to a walker, you need your arm strength. You need it for pushing up off the chair, all sorts of things. So this one's really simple. We're going to raise our arms to the side. So for me, I have a chair with arms, so I'm going to place my arms outside of the arms of the chair, and I'm going to raise my arms up just halfway to shoulder level and down. For this one, you can go all the way up if you like, or you can go to shoulder level. If you have any cardiac concerns, if you have a pacemaker, stay just at shoulder level. Don't go above. Okay? So we'll do 10 of these. We'll lift up 1 and down, 2 and down, 3 and down, 4 and down, 5 and down, 6 and down, 7 and down, 8 and down, 9 and down, 10 and down. Good. That's a nice simple one. I always enjoy that one. All right, another really nice one to do is shoulder circles. So for this one, we'll just go 10 in one direction. This kind of loosens up your spine a little bit, helps everything get mobilized, and builds some strength in some of the upper back muscles. So for this one, I'm gonna actually rest my hands on my knees, but you can put them wherever it's comfortable, and we'll just circle around 10 times. So you're gonna bring them forward, up, and around. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. That's a nice simple one. That's a good stretch too. We'll work on hand squeezes, and hands are important as well. Again, if you're holding onto a walker, or sometimes if you're carrying anything while you're walking, having good hand strength will help you maintain your balance because you won't feel like you're losing what you're holding. So for this one, hands placed in front of you. You can hold them upright, you can hold them flat or vertical, it doesn't really matter, whatever's comfortable for you. We're just gonna squeeze the fingers in and open. So we'll do that 10 times. 1, 2, make sure to open nicely. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a nice simple one. All right, so we'll do some leg exercises. We'll, before we jump into the leg exercises, let's take another breath break. So we'll just do 2 deep breaths. So hands on the tummy if you like, and breathe in and out. And one more, in and out. Good. Now, for this next exercise, if you have something that you can place in between your legs, that's great. You can actually use your hands if you don't have anything else. And unfortunately, I can't really show you with my setup here, but I have my hands and I'm just placing them right on the inside of my knees. You can also use a rolled up towel. Anything that has a little bit of give to it will be fine. All you're gonna do is you're gonna bring your knees together and then you're gonna relax them. So they'll come back to a neutral position. For this one, also, you wanna make sure your feet are nice and planted on the floor. So we'll do 10 squeezes. So we're gonna bring them in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. And again, I know I can't see you all, but hopefully everybody's doing okay with the exercises. And if you have any questions, just ask. All right, another really good one. This one I like a lot. So this is knee lifts. This uses my favorite muscle, and yes, I have a favorite muscle. It's called your iliopsoas, which is a muscle that is deep. It's underneath your other muscles, so you can't feel it from the outside, where you can feel the muscles of your thigh or some of your other larger muscles that are more towards the outside of your body. Your psoas connects on the inner part of your femur, the bone in your thigh, and it goes through your pelvis and connects in your spine. So that's a really good muscle because it works both your legs and it provides some stability. So it's a really nice one to work. So basically, this exercise is just marching in place while you're seated. So we'll lift one knee at a time and we'll count to 10 and just march in place. And you don't have to lift very high. You can see the model in the picture is raising probably about 6 inches, but whatever is comfortable for you is fine. So you'll lift one knee and place it down, and then the other, that's 2, lift 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you get comfortable with that exercise, that's another really good one to practice engaging your tummy muscles first and then lifting your knee. Then you'll get even a nicer effect for your core and your legs at the same time. Another good one to do is knee extensions. So for this one, we're starting in the nice seated position with our knees bent at 90 degrees, and you're gonna lift up your foot so that your knee becomes straight. You can point your foot or you can leave it relaxed, it doesn't really matter. And for this one right now, we'll alternate legs, but when you do this on your own, you can do 10 on one leg and 10 on the other, whatever you prefer. So we'll alternate and we'll lift 1 and bring it down, and the other leg 2 and down, 3, down, 4, down, 5, down, 6, down, 7, down 8, and 9, and 10. Good. So that one's nice. It makes you really work your thigh muscles, which are large muscles in your body that you use a lot for stability when you're walking and standing. All right, now, if anybody feels comfortable with some standing exercises, we actually, I think, in the interest of time, we will not do the standing exercise right now. I'll just do a quick demo as much as possible. So you can still see me. Basically, in a nice standing position, you can be holding onto a chair, or if you have a counter in your kitchen, that works really well for some stability. All you're gonna do is you're gonna step 1 foot forward. You can bring it back, other foot forward. You can step side to side, bring it back to the side, and then same thing to the back. So just shift your weight back a little bit, and then other leg. So those are also good exercises to do. Anything that you're doing working in that standing position will actually be utilizing your core muscles, because your core muscles are working to keep you standing up while you're doing those exercises. Weight shifting. So for weight shifting, in a nice standing position, you want to have your feet separated a little bit further than hip width, and all you're going to do is shift your hips to one side and then back to the other. Shift and shift. So that's fairly simple to do. And again, you can do that one holding onto a chair or holding onto a counter, whatever works for you. Walking in place. I think this one's hopefully pretty self-explanatory. So again, you can hold onto a chair. You can hold onto a counter if you need to. If you have a walker, of course, you can use that. And just march in place. I know my mom does some fun walking exercises as well through, I believe, YouTube videos. So there's all sorts of programs like that as well that don't require you to have to go outside on cold, wintry, snowy days like this. Another one, so this is similar to those chair push-ups, but basically you're going to take yourself all the way into a standing position. So if you're using a chair with arms or not, a really important thing to know is for your standing technique, what you want to do, because people don't often analyze the movements of standing, but we want to actually make sure that we're going kind of in the right direction so that we can get our weight in the proper place. So when we teach our patients to stand up, first we want to make sure that their feet are shifted back, their knees are forward, and you can see the model is doing a really nice job of this. She's shifting her body forward. And what that does is it takes the weight of her shoulders off of her hips, so her hips are free then to come up. And then once you have lifted your hips up off the chair, you can then go into that nice straight standing position. Sitting down is the opposite. So you're gonna bend at the hips so that your bottom can go back towards the chair, but your shoulders stay forward so you don't plop down. If you have arms, hold onto the arms and then nice and slowly lower yourself down. All right, so that's it for our exercises for now. And again, you'll have a copy of all of this, so you can go through the exercises and you can feel free to reach out to me with any questions. So moving on to home setup. First of all,
I ask a question, and maybe this is the time somebody else might have a question.
absolutely.
I have a hand injury, and so it's not very easy for me to close my hand all the way, but I do often feel pain, like using chopsticks or writing for a long time. Are there other hand exercises that you suggest that are not fully closing your hand?
Absolutely. Some really great ones to do, and it'll be hard for me to demonstrate, but if you place your hand flat on a table surface, you can open your fingers to the sides. That's a really nice one to do. Also, I would practice, if you don't have like a stress ball, you can use just a towel or like a washcloth rolled up to squeeze and release. That's a really good one to help build strength in your hands. I would say if you have any particular injuries, though, if you have not yet seen a doctor, you probably should. And yeah.
Old sports injury. It's a long-lasting one. Yeah.
So the tabletop exercises are really nice. Another good one that you can do, you can keep your elbows at your sides and then rotate palm up and palm down. That's focusing a little bit more on the forearm muscles, but it's another good one that can help kind of get everything moving. So,
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, I'm gonna keep moving, but pause at any time if you do have questions. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about flooring. So this is probably the most obvious one. We want to make sure that we're reducing or removing hazards that may be on the floor. One of the biggest ones, and something that I talk about frequently with my patients, is throw rugs. So throw rugs, oftentimes, even if they have some sort of a grippy backing, will move. So you can either remove them completely, or if you really want to have them, make sure to tape them down. And of course, in the bathroom, you want to make sure that you do have something to make sure that you keep the floor from getting too wet, because that's also a hazard. Another factor with flooring, we want to make sure that we have a clear path to light switches and through rooms. So if you have a lot of furniture or stuff, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you can easily get to what you need in any given room. Light switches, especially for that lighting, which we had mentioned, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Some other things to think about with lighting would be illuminated light switches. So that way, in case you're in your home and you have a hard time finding your light switches, you'll be able to see them much more easily if they are illuminated at nighttime or when it's dark. You can also place night lights or LED lights near the floor. And oftentimes our outlets are near the floor anyway. So if you can have something set up there so that you can easily see what might be on the floor for nighttime, that will be helpful. Stairs, you really want to make sure you have proper lighting in your stairwells, whether it's low floor level lighting or good overhead lighting. You also want to have outdoor and entry lighting. So in your doorways, anywhere there's a threshold, it would be really important to have proper lighting. And keep flashlights handy in case of a power outage. So oftentimes, if a power outage is happening at night, you'll be in bed. So maybe your bedside table is a great place to keep a little mini flashlight. In the bath. So if you're taking a shower, use a seat. This is a really good thing to do especially if you're not feeling well. You can also use grab bars. They have to be installed properly though. This is really important. They need to go into studs to be sturdy enough. The kind that have the suction cups, we generally don't recommend, as they are not sturdy enough and they can fall down, causing you to fall also. They do make a type of grab bar that actually sits on the lip of a tub. Those are all right, but not used as often. That is a nice non-permanent option though. And then non-slip treads on your tub or shower floor are really helpful. They can keep your feet from sliding. For stairs, make sure that you have handrails, at least one, but both sides if possible, especially if you have limited use of one particular hand, and the handrail is on the wrong side, it's not going to do you much good. So if you have handrails on both sides, then you always have something to hold on to. And make sure to use non-slip treads on hard surface stairs. Those are easy to get. There's lots of options. You can get them on Amazon or other stores. I believe a lot of places like Ace Hardware have things like that as well. So environmental awareness, things that we want to think about when we are looking at our environment that can be in the way. So the first thing that we want to do, especially in an unfamiliar environment, is scan for obstacles and hazards. So take a moment to look around the room and see what might be in your way or what's in your path that could cause a fall. When you are outdoors or anywhere in public, make sure to check things like curb height before going up or down so that you can be prepared for the type of step that you need to take. This is a really good thing to know for anybody that has a leg injury, whether it's a hip fracture, a knee surgery, anything like that. If one leg is stronger, when you're going up or down stairs, or even just a step, you want to go up with the good leg first and down with the bad leg first. And that just has to do with your body being able to support itself better and also using the stronger leg to actually do the bending work rather than using the weaker leg for that. Some other factors. You want to make sure that you're wearing good shoes. So I know that sometimes comfortable shoes aren't the nicest looking, and sometimes the really cute shoes are not supportive, but we want to be really mindful of wearing good shoes. One thing to consider might be if you're going to an event where you're going to be wearing impractical shoes, wear something that is a little bit more practical and then change out when you get to your event. Make sure to wear your glasses or corrective lenses. That's really important. I know for me, if I take off my glasses, everything becomes fuzzy and I will miss a lot of things. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Use mobility aids. If you have a walker or a cane, be sure to use it and learn how to use it properly. If you are not sure about that, that's something I'll be happy to talk about, or talk to the person who gave it to you, whether it's your doctor or a therapist. Make sure to take your time. Try not to rush if possible. And I know sometimes we are in a rush. And this ties in with bathroom considerations because sometimes when we gotta go, we gotta go. So there are things to consider there. So for example, if you do find yourself rushing to the bathroom frequently, you may want to set yourself up with a schedule to go to the bathroom at certain times. It doesn't always necessarily work if you're taking certain medications that make you go more, but it is something to think about. Go over any medications that you might be taking with your doctor. If your medications are impacting your level of dizziness or your level of awareness, if they're making you go to the bathroom more, you may be able to make some adjustments. Make sure you get plenty of sleep and rest. This is a really important factor. I know for me, I didn't sleep very well last night, so I'm pretty tired. Thankfully, I'm okay. But when we're not rested well, then it leads to us not feeling well. It leads to decreased strength. It leads to feeling more dizzy, all sorts of other things. Be aware of your health conditions. So what I have listed here are some things that can happen related to your medications, related to diagnoses that you might have. So vertigo, which is basically a sense of dizziness that you might have, that of course leads to falls. Shortness of breath. Sometimes we have a hard time breathing. That can cause confusion if we're not getting enough oxygen. So that's a really important factor. Neuropathy is numbness that you would have in your extremities. So if you don't have good feeling in your hands and your feet, you might miss things that are in your path. Blood pressure issues. If your blood pressure is high or low, you can feel dizzy. So that can lead to falls. And then confusion and dementia. So sometimes when people are confused or have dementia, they might not be as aware of the environment. And with dementia, although we think of it as a cognitive disorder, it does actually affect the body and our strength. And then lastly here, we want to think about keeping our bones strong. This is important through nutrition and through weight-bearing exercise. So when you do weight-bearing exercise, that would be things like lifting weights, even walking. Tennis playing is an example, if anybody is interested in tennis. Anything like that that puts a little bit of stress on your bones will actually help them to be stronger. And we want our bones to be strong because if we do have a fall, we are less likely to have a fracture. So here's a fun little side note that I really like, the penguin walk, and it's absolutely applicable with the current weather. So normally when we walk, we have a nice wide stretch between our feet, but this can lead to falls because what it does is it shifts your base of support away from your center of gravity. So what we want to do is we want to keep everything nice and tight and walk like a penguin and keep your feet right under where your center of gravity is. This will help because A, you'll be moving a little bit slower, so you'll be able to see the ice that might be around you, and B, it keeps everything nice and lined up so that our feet are not spread out away from our center of gravity. Does that make sense? Hopefully you're getting thumbs up. And I think this is a nice little infographic that shows you what you should do. So just nice small steps, keep them kind of nice and tight together. And that's it. So here are some sources. Again, this will be shared with you. So you'll be able to look through videos and some of the exercises. And that's it. So thank you. Oh, and my contact info is available as well. So feel free to email me any questions that you might have. I'm always happy to chat about anything like this or other occupational therapy related questions.
Well, thank you so much, EJ. I realized very quickly that I forgot to introduce you also, for those who don't know, as our own Sandy's daughter. So that's wonderful as well. Well, we have a bit more time, and I hope if anybody has a question and didn't feel comfortable interrupting before, they'll take the time now.
I'll just point out that she's Danny's daughter too, since he's here.
Thank you.
Happy to answer any questions.
Hello. One of the very best T-shirts I've ever seen says, "Help!
Thank you all for attending.
I've fallen and I can't reach my beer." And you didn't mention alcohol being a real risk factor.
Well, there you go. I think we kind of lost EJ's
good.
connection a little bit. Oh, we do
It's
hear it
frozen.
now.
That is true. Alcohol. Okay, I'm here. Yes. Alcohol can be a risk factor, and of course, as Jewish people, so there's something to be aware of. And I would say, if you do want to have a drink, that's fine, but be prepared. Make sure you take into consideration all those other factors that we talked about.
We're having a bit of a hard time hearing you there. It kind of got jumbled up, but yeah, drink responsibly. I think that was the sum of that one. Well, before we lose anybody else, I see some people are already dropping out. I want to thank everybody who came and joined us today. If you have more questions, please stick around, but I saw some people are already heading out. I did want to say that our next program we are very proud of. We have the program, you may have already seen it showing up here or there online, is the Misha Berach program. This is going to be coming from the Blue Dove Foundation, which is a Jewish organization that runs programs for all ages. And this one is specifically, what is your Misha Berach? What are you praying for now? And it will go through mental health and Judaism and how what the connection is. I'm very excited for that one. And we are also looking into our Lunch and Learn program in April that will most likely be about genealogy, family trees, and finding the connection with those that are very estranged. And both of those I'm very excited to have. We are hoping in the spring, we are looking forward to having more in-person events again. Hopefully we are really, of course, hopeful. That's going to be the word. I'm not going to make any promises, but we will hopefully have 2 programs a month, one of them in person, a safe and organized social, and another still virtual, so everybody will have a place to be. So thank you all so much. And if there are any questions left, please, we have a few more minutes. I just didn't want to lose anyone else.
So I'll just confess that I'm a person who falls a lot. And so when EJ's first offer to do this program was really just because she wanted to help her mom.
What can I say? But
It
helps my mom and it helps other people, then
I just wanted to say thank you. I
Sorry,
thought
go
it
ahead.
was really helpful. And you said we were going to get the information. Would that be like getting emailed to the participants, or?
Yes, I will email anybody who is registered.
Okay, great.
And Barbara, you were registered, right? You got the link.
Yes, I was.
So everybody that was registered will get this presentation that EJ will send to me soon. I will make sure that happens. And if anybody that you know of also wanted to attend and could not, we will also have the recording available that they can reach out to me at the Federation.
I think it's usually on Facebook as well, the recording.
Okay, yep. I will talk with Alan to make sure that if that's what we're going to be able to do, great. Yeah, I wanted to mention on my way into work every week, I see a sign by a dentist's office that says something along the line that prevention is cheap, fixing or whatever the word is expensive. And I was very impressed with all of the different workouts. I don't know, I felt a lot of pops and clicks, and I realized how little stretches and exercises I do every day. And I'm very active here, and I should definitely think about it, because definitely some of my sports injuries would have been solved with more stretching in the morning. So I imagine anything else, those little things. And my wife, Shirley, if some of you may have met, her father does a great workout every morning. He's 74. And he laughs at me every day when I don't, and he can lift more than I can. So.
And I was just going to compliment you. I mean, originally I thought, sometimes you helped me reimagine, because I thought it would be exercises, the sitting down exercises as passive, and kind of like what he was saying, they weren't. I could really feel the muscles in the core, and it was very encouraging, basically. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. And the nice thing about these exercises is that they're really easy to ramp up. If you want to hold weights, you can. If you want to do more repetitions, you can. Just make sure to take rest breaks. Some of them you can do in standing as well. I wouldn't recommend doing the leg lifts in standing unless you're holding on to something and feel very stable. But a lot of the arm exercises you can do in standing, so they're really easy to change and make easier or harder. So hopefully you can hear me. So my internet connection is not the best.
Yeah, it's a little bit jumpy there, but I think we got the idea. Well, everybody who's still with us, I'm going to. I'm going to share my email here if you haven't already had it before. Oops, that's not the right one. Jewish. So Ravitch at thejewishfed.org. If you have any questions here that we can pass on to EJ in case we lose her again with the connection. And also if you know how to use it, if not, check it out on your own, the Blue Dove Foundation. That's going to be the forum for our next lunch and learn. So you can read a bit about that ahead of time if you're interested. All right.
And
Well,
I think I have one thing to sort of say. Many of you may already know this, but some of you may not. But I have submitted my resignation as the director of JFS. And Mike, you look a little surprised. I was retired before I took the job, and I'm looking forward to being retired again. And I'm going to stay on part-time while the new person gets adjusted to the position. And the new director will be Rabbi Nebel.
We are all, it's going to be a big change. I have not been here very long, but I already don't know how this change is going to go over easily, but full confidence in Rabbi Nebel. We are close already. So thank you, Sandy, for making the announcement as well and for everything you do. All right, if there's nothing else, I think we are going to end here. And again, any questions that come up later, anything we would like to pass on to EJ. EJ, I guess we can kind of talk through Sandy or myself, or unless you want to.
Yeah. My email is available. It's on the slides.
On the presentation.
I'll be sending you shortly, Dan, so you can share with everybody. So,
Sounds
or
good.
if you talk to my mom or Dan or anybody else, reach out as well.
All right. Well, everybody has a wonderful rest of their day. If you haven't already had lunch, this is the time. I know for me, I couldn't get it before. Great to see so many friendly faces, and we'll see you again soon. All right. Take care.